Olivia, a stroke survivor and member of Bind.
And hi, I'm Carrie, a stroke survivor and also a member of Bind. And today we are being joined by one of our newest members, Chris Pete. His journey and his resilience is nothing short of amazing. His mother is also, Marilyn, is also joining us today too. So welcome, Chris and Marilyn.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Well, first, Chris, just tell us a little bit about yourself, just in general, who you are.
Yes, first of all, I was born blind and attended public school and college. Also worked in Austin with Apple, doing customer service and Apple Care.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yes, and then also I did when I was 37, I had a kidney problem and attended dialysis for 5 years. But then after that, I had a fall in October of 2020.
So you had a fall in 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was in the hospital. I did not have a lot of consciousness that the first month and a half.
Oh, wow. What kind of fall did you have? I mean, was it a fluke thing? Did you trip on something?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't know. He doesn't remember.
That happened. I mean, I just, y'all do know that falls are the number one cause of brain injury.
He fell on a tile.
Oh, okay.
And then when he didn't call me that day, I called the manager's office and she said, well, I can't go in. Why don't you call the sheriff? So I called the sheriff and they went in and found him in his bed. He had made his way from where he fell into his bed, but he was nonverbal and barely responsive at the time. And I lived here in Plano, and he lived in Dallas by himself.
Wow.
So,
Austin.
or Austin, I'm sorry.
Austin.
And so they rushed him to the hospital, and my husband and I went down, and we weren't able to see him except for like a couple minutes just before his surgery. It was during COVID. So we had not much communication, and he was in the hospital for, a couple weeks. So it was very difficult.
There was until the end of September, and we had sadnesses of what of things
the end of September, you went into rehabilitation.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Did
Yes.
you do all your rehab in Austin?
He did 2 weeks in Austin, and then he was transferred to Encompass Hospital
Okay.
in Plano for 2 weeks, 2 more weeks.
For 2 more weeks.
And then
Yeah.
after that, he had home health come in and do speech therapy and physical therapy. And after that was over, he went to UT Southwestern for physical therapy and occupational therapy. And that was the end of his therapy.
And how long was that?
It lasted 6 to 8 weeks, I'm not quite sure,
Sure.
until Medicare ran out.
Right.
Right.
Man,
Right.
Right. That's the problem with insurance. It always.
Yes.
yes.
Yes. But now he's back in speech therapy, so that's going very well.
Yeah. How is it going for you, Chris?
Real good. As let's see, had 2 months of speech therapy, and I should do at least 1 more month.
One more
of
month.
that.
Great. Okay.
So his speech is very important to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And Chris, I was a little curious, or we were a little curious, because you're so unique being born blind. Do you think being blind helped you process the brain injury easier, or like made it? I mean, I don't know. Just maybe not, but because you were already used to a disability to begin with, so you weren't automatically brand new thrown into it. Or I guess it's totally different. I'm looking at Marilyn, looking at me like, no, it's totally different.
This was totally different.
Yeah.
When he was in rehabilitation, I remember thinking to myself, he's had several tough times and several challenges. And I thought to myself, this is going to be his toughest challenge.
I was born blind too, so that wasn't really a challenge for me. This one is.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is the speech is your biggest challenge right now.
Yes.
The speech and the use of his right hand.
Okay. So you do still have some weakness in one side.
Right
Okay.
and leg.
And his right leg, yeah.
And so how did you hear about Bind?
Think through Mom.
Well, my husband actually, he goes to different Chamber of Commerce meetings, and he met Valerie, I believe, was the founder of
Yes,
Bind.
ma'am.
He met her, and then when this happened, and he was out of rehab and everything, where do we turn? So I had heard about it, and I called, and it was, again, during COVID, and there was
Yes,
no answer.
unfortunately.
So I figured Bind was closed. So then I kind of forgot about it for a while, and my daughter-in-law was doing some research, and she came across it, and I thought, oh, yeah, I remember that. So that's when we filled out the application and came for a tour, and he's been coming ever since.
And
Great.
how long has that been? About nine months or?
No, not that long.
Not that
It's
long?
been about 4 or 5 months.
4
Oh,
months.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
time is
Oh,
is
yeah.
a whole other
Yes.
plane.
Yeah.
So
Well, and so Chris, since you found Bind, would you say Bind has helped you?
Yes.
Good.
It is before I lived in my apartment, read and watched movies
By himself.
by myself.
Yeah.
So now he's getting out.
Getting out. That's always the hard thing right after a brain injury is getting back out and getting back to being social and
Yeah.
taking care of those things. But Marilyn, I would like to ask you, because again, I know it's not the same, but as a caregiver, do you have any advice or tips to other people who have had to learn how to kind of let go and let their loved one regain that independence
Oh,
after
gosh.
an injury?
That's the toughest part, is letting them gain their independence again and letting go. As one of Chris's doctors told me, she says, I think you're a helicopter mother, which I was, and I admit it. And I tend to do a lot for him, and I still do, and I have to catch myself. Let him do it, let him do it. So that has been the hardest thing for me to.
Yeah, and I know when I had to move back home with my parents, we had to sit down and make new boundaries, because I was 38, but my parents were treating me like I was 16 again, and I was no, not So
That's
we had
what
to.
I have to stop and think. You're treating him like a child.
Right.
He's not your baby anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah, I know we had to sit down and have a boundaries talk. But, do you have any other advice, just in general, that you would like survivors or caregivers to know?
Yes, one of the. I'm so grateful for Bind, and I'm so grateful for the support groups. I've learned a lot. There were things when Chris was first out of rehab and living with us for a while, I didn't know where to turn. Mm-hmm. And after watching some of your podcasts and listening to the professionals, I think, oh, why didn't I know that back then? So I would encourage caregivers to reach out, to whoever they can, to get some support.
I think that's perfect advice.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can as early as you can.
And like when they're still in rehab, talk to people there, and nobody at rehab told me much of anything.
No.
Where do you go from here? Nobody told me that.
Yeah, that's
No.
So we were kind of floundering.
yeah,
for
that's
quite
the
a while.
tough part.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. I mean, from all perspectives, right? Because you're kind of struck with this new, kind of situation, and it is challenging. It is really challenging to navigate that. Mm-hmm. So having support groups has been number one for me too.
Okay, well, Chris and Marilyn would like to thank you very much for joining us today and being brave enough to come share your story with us. And we know it's difficult, but we appreciate you, and we hope our listeners appreciate you and take your advice into consideration. So,
Well, thank you, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And
Glad to do it.
yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yes.
if you'd like to contact us, you can email us at bindwaves@thebind.org. Follow us on Instagram at bindwaves, and visit our website, thebind.org/bindwaves.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe on your favorite platform, and also hit the notify button on YouTube while listening to Bindwaves.
And remember, every Thursday you can find our new episodes on all your favorite platforms. Until next time.
Until next time.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to Bind Waves and continue to support Bind and our nonprofit mission.
We support brain injury survivors as they reconnect into the life, the community, and their workplace.
And we couldn't do that without great listeners like you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Continue watching. Until next time.
Until next time.